Faith doesn't worry about what's fair. It just never gives up. What's just is established by grace, not demands. A heightened sense of justice will confound our faith and our soul. Performance-oriented living breeds deception and spiritual defeat. But by grace alone does the heart thrive with no sorrow in it.
Thanks for joining us on Life Journeys, a podcast about thriving through the worst pain that life brings. With global initiatives threatening big changes to our way of life, we're going to need to activate Jesus' words about mountain-moving faith. Words That Work is the ongoing series on life journeys that is rooted in releasing revelational words of faith that will work every time and with everyone. It's about moving the mountains that keep us from the presence and goodness of God. It's about defining our life purpose and identity through encountering Him until we have the power to move the obstacles that are destroying our liberty and hope.
Jesus said that everyone that asks receives, and he that seeks will find, and everyone that knocks, the door will be opened. If we started living like we're going to receive what we ask God for, our prayer life, I think, would change. One time God spoke to me and said, "It's offensive to me when you doubt what I have said and proven over millenniums of my people's experience." How do I know if I have the real thing, real faith? What's the foundation of the fire-tested words of faith? I have to ask myself this if I'm going to be a man of the word of the Lord. When someone with no insurance hit my car and I had $1,000 deductible, am I going to forgive it if he doesn't pay it? If someone borrowed $300 from me and wouldn't pay it back, am I going to demand payment? In other words, am I treating others how I want to be treated? That's a revealing question. It helps to know if my faith is real or not. You see, I'd want mercy if I owed money and couldn't pay it. I'd want time. That's how Jesus qualified faith in asking, seeking, and knocking. He ends that passage by saying, treat others how you want to be treated. This is true about both what I legitimately owe and about unjust demands of me as well. There's the tens of thousands of dollars that the IRS wrongly billed me for and made me wait almost a year before they corrected the error. In this testing, I had no right to expect God to intervene for me because I thought I was such a good Christian. I had no business demanding justice from anyone. That's just not how life works at its core. We need to learn that. A heightened sense of justice is based on a deceptive root that life works when we get what we deserve. That's not how the human soul can thrive and overcome this world. It's a formula for defeat. The soul of a man can only be whole by the power of the grace of God, flowing like a river within his soul. You see, the demand for justice is based on performance-oriented thinking and living. It's based on the potential of men, and it truly is the root of a lot of deception. We don't thrive and live in the redemptive power of Christ with a heightened sense of justice. Justice and righteousness are absolute values. However, it's how we get there that makes all the difference in this life and eternity. Treating others how you want to be treated is best measured when you've done your best and failed miserably. How do you want to be treated? You've used all your talents and resources and willpower, and you crashed and burned. And God allowed it for a reason. How would you want to be treated? There was nothing I could do about losing $1,000 when my new car was wrecked by a careless driver with no license, no insurance, and who fled the scene of the accident. I chased him down, though, and got him. Got his name. There was nothing I could do if the IRS was going to seize my savings account or put a lien on my home. These were unjust things, but I had to seek to have my soul influenced by the courtroom of God's grace, no matter what the world did. The question became, have I done something wrong that God is allowing this pressure in my life? Coming out of the other side of these trials, I found that no, I hadn't. My suspicion was that God was building my faith and letting the refining fire burn out areas of a heightened sense of justice and indignation. Did I really want to be treated the way I deserved? Absolutely not. Then, stop treating others the way you think they deserve. Life isn't established by merely working hard and being responsible. That's important, but it's not the key that unlocks what we truly need in our souls. Life has its roots in the ancient foundations of God's mercy and love. It's about learning to live by the Word of God above all else. I can ask and seek and knock until my brains fall out, but God is not going to answer me based upon my work ethic or my sense of justice alone. If I want heaven's riches released to me, which incidentally is the presence of the Holy Spirit manifested in my soul, then I'm going to have to be very willing to release my riches to those who don't deserve it. Is someone treating me unfairly? God says, bless them. If I don't, it has just become obvious that my faith has pretty much died. All I have is a mental assent to the truth. I'm not living it. It's inactive and ineffective, and my prayer life is failing. I need to believe in His desire to bless me when I have blessed others who don't deserve it. That's how this human spirit works the way it was created to work. Be indignant about what you think is wrong with the world, and God will be indignant with you. You don't know what spirit you're of. Generosity is not based upon someone else's performance. It's based upon our own heart, regardless of what the world around us is like. Anything else, and the world has started to master us. Now, before we move on, two things here. Generosity doesn't come from a full bank account. It comes from a full heart. Secondly, wisdom says you don't give $100 to a drug addict and tell them, have a great day. Sometimes the best thing to do for someone is spend our lives and our time with them, especially those who don't deserve it. For that's the heart of the gospel. Now, consider a Samaritan woman. Jesus said no to her. He insulted her as one who is as a dog to the Jews. It's not right to give the children's bread to dogs, he said. How would you feel if you asked me for prayer for your needs and I said, the gifts you ask for are not to be given to lesser people like you? They're reserved for people whom God has chosen, of whom you surely are not one. If I said that, you probably wouldn't come back to my church, eh? Also, realize that Jesus first simply ignored this woman's request. How many times have you felt like God has ignored you? What was your response? Did you then feel guilty, and did condemnation spill in on you? How often does our faith crumble even more when it seems that God is silent? But this woman had great faith. After being ignored and Jesus' disciples asking to simply send her away, she came and worshiped him. When he insulted her with an indignant negative response, she just said, though the bread of the Jews is for them, even the dogs get to eat the crumbs from the master's table. That was the faith that Jesus was pulling from her heart out into the open for us. Listen to this now. This woman was not preoccupied with who she wasn't, but with who Jesus was. She might have said, I may be a dog, but I'm your dog, Jesus. Faith isn't about what we have done or left undone. It's about what Jesus has done for us. This was real worship. In another place, the King James calls it importunity. Jesus taught this in a parable that we might keep on asking, seeking, and knocking. And she kept on asking, and not just because there was no answer given, but because Jesus was ignoring her, insulting her, and denying her request. What would you do if God said, no, I'm not going to heal you, you're unworthy? When he throws your character at you, just throw his character right back at him. That shows him that you have faith like little else. Faith absolutely doesn't appeal to God based upon our worth. The truth here is that asking from the admitted place of being unworthy declares that his redemption is needed and is believed in. Sometimes you just have to settle for the fact that there is nothing lacking in your knowledge or faith that is keeping you from healing. The only answer is to keep on asking. When you're sick, when you're broke, when you're broken, or when you're still bound in some prison cell of carnality and failure doesn't give up. It just keeps on. You keep on asking. God may just be getting you to the place of ceasing to be so preoccupied with your abilities and gifts and faith. Instead, rest in the faith of God and keep on asking. The idea that if you ask more than once, you're asking in unbelief is not scriptural at all. If God said that his promises are for everyone, then just keep on asking. And if there's something you keep failing at, keep on seeking. Keep on seeking until God starts to give you answers. The other day I felt armed with the knowledge to go out into any storm that the day brought me and look for God in it. I even prayed before I began a project to help me face any storm that came along. Then the storm came quickly, and I failed again. I felt so defeated and ashamed. Later in the day, I turned the radio on and the song played, "Don't give up. Brother, it won't be long. Soon all your burdens will be gone. You're almost home. Almost home." But I felt like, God, it's good to know this battle will be over soon, but please, I just want to do one more thing for you in this world before I leave. I just want one more chance to glorify you before eternity begins. For I can't do there what I could do here. Reach one more for you. That night, as I was getting into bed, God whispered so quietly, "Don't give up. The answer you seek is to keep on asking and keep on seeking."
You can unlock the presence of God in your life. There are revelation principles that remove the mountains, keeping us from joy, hope, peace, and purpose when our world gets turned upside down. Look for these words that work with Pastor Hardika as he shares what has helped him when life got hard. And don't forget to check out his book, The Fortress and the Firebrand, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Thanks for listening to Life Journeys. Find new episodes every Wednesday and Saturday.
Faith doesn't worry about what's fair. It just never gives up. What's just is established by grace, not demands. A heightened sense of justice will confound our faith and our soul. Performance-oriented living breeds deception and spiritual defeat. But by grace alone does the heart thrive with no sorrow in it.